David here with Figboot on pens, back again with another fountain pen review. Today I bring you a pen from one of my favorite artisans, and it comes with a bit of a warning because this artisan potentially will no longer be making pens in the near future. More about that later. So the opportunity to get your hands on one of these amazing creations might be dwindling. The name of the company is Pen 18111. Now, Pen 18111 essentially has two different types of pens. There are some amazing and incredible inlaid resin creations, as well as high-quality 3D printed pens. The resin pens are priced in the $500, $600, $700 range, and in my opinion are well worth the price. But the 3D printed pens are more in the $100 to $200 range, and it's two of their 3D printed pens I have to share with you today. But I will certainly share some of the resin pens with you as well, especially one that I just purchased myself. What I am going to do today is go over the parts and features of these two pens, talk about what I care for, what I don't care for about them. I'll show some measurements, size comparisons, and provide a writing sample. Thanks go out to Pen 18111 for providing the pens you will see today for review and to give away to two of you. So stay tuned to the end of the review to learn how you can have the chance to make one of these two pens your very own. The gentleman behind Pen 8111 is Yoshi Nakama. He is based out of New York City, Brooklyn to be more precise. He came to the US from Japan in the late 1970s to study fine art and has lived here since. He worked for almost 30 years as a fabricator for a very well-known artist by the name of Sol LeWitt. Yoshi would make scale models and large fiberglass structures for the artist. During his time with LeWitt, he developed and learned many techniques that could be applied to making various things. In 2012, Yoshi purchased a wood lathe to make bowls and plates, and eventually that transitioned into making pens. He quickly grew tired of making kit pens and began creating his own resins and started to create unique works of art on his own. I love pens that are unique, and Yoshi's creations are certainly that. While his pens don't contain any branding, they are instantly recognizable. Oh, one more thing. Pen 18111 is a unique name, and that's because the number is the address of his house and workshop in Brooklyn. Now, I mentioned up top that Yoshi will potentially no longer be making pens, and that's because sometime in this upcoming year, he and his wife are planning on moving back to Japan, and he's uncertain whether or not he will be able to set up shop in his new home. He has mentioned to me that he has enough inventory to last for a while, but like I said, he's uncertain if after he moves, production will resume. Okay, let's actually take a look at some pens. Yoshi's pens all arrive in these simple cardboard boxes. Something I like is that with each of the pens, he includes a business card with the picture of the model of your pen. It's just a nice touch. And then inside the box, there is a felt pouch, and inside we have the pen. Now, I'm not certain if this pen actually has a name. On his Etsy store, where pens are sold, the names of the pens are simply descriptive. This pen here is called Fountain Pen with Ivy Leaf Roll Stopper. And then this one here is called the Sakura Blossom, Fountain Pen with Sakura Blossom Roll Stopper. Over the years, I have seen 3D printed pens of varying quality, and I have to say these are on the high end, meaning that if you zoom in, you can see a bit of the telltale lines produced by 3D printing process, but the wrinkles and crevices provide an interesting tactile element, and will help this pen from feeling like it was 3D printed. These pens are printed on what is called a UV curing resin, which is a resin solidified through reaction to ultraviolet rays. These two pens have different shapes. The Ivy Leaf is slightly larger and has flat ends, and the Sakura is a little bit shorter and has rounded ends. And the barrel is more tapered to accommodate a significantly deeper cap posting. For the sake of this portion of the review, I wanted to just focus on the Ivy model. As I mentioned, the top of the cap is flat. This is a clipless pen, but does contain a roll stop. These roll stops are 3D printed in wax and then cast in bronze. These roll stops really do pop against the darkness of the pen material. The cap angles up just slightly and then straightens out near the end. The transition from the cap to the barrel is very smooth. The barrel is straight for about an inch before beginning a gradual taper to the end where, like the top of the cap, it is flat. The cap twists off with about 3/4 of a rotation, and underneath we have a number 6 stainless steel nib. I believe it's Yovo. On this particular model, it's golden color to match the color of the roll stop. And here's a look at the plastic feed. The section begins with a slight flare and angles up a hair before reaching the threads and a medium to large size step up to the remainder of the barrel. This textured resin does do a very good job of helping you maintain your grip on this pen. With minimal effort, your grip really isn't going anywhere. The pen is long enough to use unposted. It does post, and it does post securely. It doesn't for me, but if the edge of the cap should rub up against your hand, the edge is smooth, so it's not uncomfortable at all. Personally, I prefer to use this pen unposted, and I enjoy the feeling of the texture against the side of my palm. This is a cartridge converter pen. It accepts standard international cartridges, and a converter is provided. With the solid one-piece construction of this barrel and the lack of metal interior parts, with the appropriate precautions, then eyedropping this pen should be just fine. The model with the ivy leaf, as well as the one with the sakura blossom, both retail for $150 and are available on the Pen 18111 Etsy store. Yoshi does have a website, but all the sales are run through the Etsy store. I feel that both of these pens are a reasonable value and provide a decent entry level into Yoshi's incredible work. These 3D printed pens are the highest quality ones that I've tested, and it's an affordable way to get a taste of his work. And if you are looking for something off the charts cool, then you'll still want to check out his resin offerings. I'll show you the ones in my collection here during the size comparisons. And in regard to the halt in production, I don't feel that it's a salesmanship ruse. Hey, you better buy out my pens because I might stop making them. I believe that he truly isn't sure about the future of his pen making business. And I appreciate him giving us all a heads up because the resin models are just special. And if one of them speaks to you, then I would highly recommend treating yourself to one because they might not be around forever. And if that happens, that would be unfortunate because every time I use one of Yoshi's pens, it brings a smile to my face. Okay, in regard to the giveaway, Yoshi wanted me to give these 2 pens away to 2 of you. There is a link in the notes below to a Google form where you can simply leave me your name and email address, as well as answer an optional question. Basically, how about if you go to his store on Etsy and tell me which of the resin models speak to you? 72 hours from when this video is posted, I will select 2 winners at random and contact you via the email address you will provide. I am certain that the 2 winners will enjoy their new pens greatly. Okay, now it is time for some measurements, size comparisons, a writing sample, and some look at some of Yoshi's resin creations. Okay, here we have these 2 pens from Pen 18111. There is the one with the ivy leaf as well as the sakura. I mentioned that the barrel here on the sakura was slightly more tapered. You can see it's a little bit more tapered so that when you post it, it posts significantly deeper. Let me just show you a comparison when it is posted. So you can see that while they're almost the same length when they are not posted, this one here is significantly shorter when it is posted. But I wanted to give you another close-up look at that little sakura leaf, which is really cool, or a flower rather, and then the 3D printing is just awesome. That I just really like this texture and the kind of the folding. It almost looks like a brain. But I do particularly care for this material. And as I mentioned previously, you can see how there is the gold leaf matching the gold nib. And then here on the sakura, there is the silver matching the silver. So I'll show you some size comparisons in regard to some of Yoshi's resin models. This one here is called Night Sky Sakura, and it is just amazing. There is the branch, which again is 3D printed, and then it is cast in bronze. And then there is the sun and the sakura leaves or flowers that are falling down. It is just amazing. And what he does here is each of these flowers are kind of laser engraved. So imagine like it creates a cavity in the material. And then what he does is he fills them in with resin. And so this kind of becomes one solid piece. So these aren't painted on, they're kind of inlaid resin. And it's just a really unique and special treatment. And then when I first picked this model up at the DC show, I was debating between this model and another model. I bought this blue. I've been very pleased with it. But then the next year I had to go back and buy this pink Sakura. I just thought that this pink one matched really nicely and just had a really nice element and kind of captured the Sakura tree very nicely. And then recently, after I learned that Yoshi might not be making any more pens, I felt that it was necessary to purchase one more. And my recent addition is the Momiji right here. And so this just has the leaves of a Momiji tree. Now this branch actually has the leaves on it. And it's just a nice custom resin that Yoshi makes. And I just thought that the mix of the darker resin as well as the red and the yellow and the orange leaves were just amazing. And that is what the section looks like. And so this was something that I was very pleased that I picked up and has been a welcome addition to the collection. And that is what it looks like in comparison to the other ones. Okay, in regard to some non-Pen 8 111 comparisons, here it is with a Lamy All-Star, and then here it is with a Vanishing Point from Pilot, and then finally here it is with a TWSBI Diamond 580, and that is the Iris model. In regard to some uncapped comparisons, this is what it looked like with the All-Star and the Diamond 580. And then here it is with the Momiji. Okay, here we go with the writing sample for the Pen 18111. And we'll just call this the 3D printed fountain pen. This is a medium stainless steel nib, and the ink that I'm using is from Pelikan. It's an Edelstein, and it is Star Ruby. This is what the ink looks like. It's kind of a pinkish red. This is what it looks like in relation to Lamy Crystal Ruby. And then here's one of my favorite reds, which is Birmingham Pen Company's Fred Rogers Cardigan Red. This is what the Edelstein bottles look like. They're a little bit shallow. They are really sturdy though, and a lot of glass in here. So it's one of those bottles that if you drop it on the ground by accident, that it's probably not going to break. I say probably because everything will break eventually, but it's just a really sturdy bottle. And here we go with the rest of the writing sample. Even though this is, we'll say, a stock Yovo nib, it has been tuned very nicely. It is, I'd say, smoother than normal. You're not going to get a lot of line variation out of here, but the ink flow is fairly decent. In regard to reverse writing, it's a little sharp, but it gets the job done. And in regard to some fast writing, again, just fairly smooth and really pleasant to write with. And the feed keeps up just fine. So there we have the two pens from Pen 18111, the Sakura blossom as well as the ivy. Don't forget to use the form below to enter to make one of these pens your very own. And don't forget to check out Yoshi's website or his Etsy store in order to see what he has available in regard to his resin offerings. I have yet to hear of anyone who has purchased one of his pens who has regretted it. I have purchased 3 pens at full price, and I have not regretted it one bit. And that hopes he is able to continue making pens in the future, because the pen world needs creators like Yoshi. Okay, until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later.